Eurojust and Europol. I first want to give the floor to Mr. Filippo Spiesa, who is of Eurojust. Spiesa.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished authorities, dear colleagues, it's a genuine pleasure for me It's a very sincere honor for me as Vice President of Eurojust to formally open this press conference with you all, and I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you to everybody. Very warm welcome to the national authorities who accepted to join us for this press conference. In my knowledge, this is the first press conference that we are hosting at Eurojust linked to an operational case. Why we have decided to do it? To inform you about an unprecedented and extraordinary result that we have reached today with a joint judicial action that has been carried out in different member states in order to fight the Ndrangheta, one of the most powerful criminal organization in the world. Indeed, in the early hour today, almost 90 European arrest warrant and domestic arrest warrant have been executed against the members of this criminal organization. As a which lasts more than 2 years. A lot of congratulations from the national authorities of the Netherlands, of Italy, of Belgium, who supported this important investigation, who led the investigation, to the police forces and to the prosecutors who coordinated the actions. But it is also important to mention from our side that this extraordinary result has been achieved thanks to the European approach that all the concerned authorities decide to confer to give to this case. This is a model to follow also in the future. It could not have been possible to produce such extraordinary results without having this truly European approach to the investigations, ensured by Eurojust. Eurojust has been involved for more than 2 years in order to support the coordination of the competent national authorities. We started our work in January 2016. With the operational support of Europol and using a very important EU judicial cooperation tool, which is the joint investigation team, which was assigned by all concerned authorities in October 2016. So what we have achieved today is more than the mere sum of national investigations. The national authorities presented here will give you all the details about the case, about how it has been possible to find and to arrest dangerous members of the Ndrangheta organization deeply involved in international drug trafficking, money laundering, beyond the national Italian borders and very interconnected to others. It would be possible to uncover all these ties, these links, only with a domestic focus on the investigation. So the Pollino case, because this is the nickname of this operation, show two important things in our opinion. First, that transnational crime can be effectively opposed and defeated if we make a full use and implementation of all European opportunities, European agencies, European judicial cooperation instruments. Second, EU is not something bureaucratic far away from the citizen, but the EU institutions are alive, ready to take action, capable to support national authorities and to make safer the life of our citizens. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the judicial authorities and the national police forces who carried out the operation. I would like also to get the opportunity to express my warm thanks to all the national desks involved, Jolene Kuitert and all the Dutch desk, Caroline Boving and the German desk, Jean-Pascal Thoreau and the Belgian desk, all my colleagues of the Italian desk, and all the desks at Eurojust who supported the operation in the very last days, the Luxembourg, Spain, UK, National and the Liaison Magistrate for Switzerland. This extraordinary group of committed persons has assured the result with the crucial support of the colleagues from Operation, the operational unit who support the work at Eurojust. So many credit and thanks to Federica Curtol, Lisa Orbatis, Laura Surano, Yana Coladonato, all the people involved in this case. Now I have the pleasure to pass the floor to you, national authorities, for your testimony and your intervention. Many thanks again for coming and joining us.
Dames en heren.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have conveyed an important message to criminal organizations. They're not the only ones who operate in a transborder fashion. Judicial organizations do so as well. Since the early hours of this morning, police and justice in the Netherlands, Italy, Germany, and Spain have been working on a coordinated international action against the Ndrangheta. The investigation is called Operation Polino. In the four aforementioned EU states, many suspects were arrested, also high-level members of this mafia organization. Also in Suriname, we had an action this morning. And in the context of the Polino investigation, we estimate that 2 million euros in criminal money has been seized, 140 kilos in ecstasy pills, and 3,000 to 4,000 kilos of cocaine have been seized. Dozens of houses have been searched and many witnesses have been heard. The goal is to gather evidence for our criminal file and to prosecute these people. The Ndrangheta is a mafia organization from Calabria in Italy, and it controls a substantial part of European cocaine traffic and is systematically guilty of bribery, violence, and money laundering. Germany, Netherlands, and Belgium. Italian restaurants, ice cream parlors in hands of the Ndrangheta. The suspicion is that the mafia organization is laundering money through these restaurants establishments, and they are used as a cover-up for their criminal actions. This criminal organization distinguishes itself from other mafia organizations because it has a very strong emphasis on family relationships. And the successful action day today is the outcome of very intensive cooperation between judicial organizations and police services of the countries I mentioned, Belgium, Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands, supported by Eurojust and Europol. In 2016, a number of countries set up a joint investigation team, a JIT. The partner organizations involved have been capable of exchanging data in a structured manner and to organize an action day. And today's action day just demonstrates that with dedication, practical support of Eurojust and Europol, and also by using tools such as the European arrest warrant, and the microphone is being interrupted. So these partner organizations can efficiently cooperate in prosecuting and investigating these forms of heavy organized crime. The role of Eurojust was crucial in this partnership, and it is my pleasure to give the floor to Bert Langerak, Director of Investigation at the Fiat organization, the tax organization in the Netherlands. Thank you very much. It has been said before, today, and I agree, is a wonderful example of international cooperation in fighting transnational drug-related, but particularly also financial crimes such as money laundering, criminal assets. And the investigation that we're talking about here, the Operation Polino, was started by the Fiat in 2014. And we cooperated with the police and the Service of National Investigation, a wonderful combination of sharing experience and knowledge. And we started by looking into money laundering of two restaurants in the south of the Netherlands, in Venray and Horst. And during the investigation, it became very clear that these restaurants were being used to commit crimes such as money laundering, drug trafficking, insurance fraud and arson. And it turned out that the owners of these restaurants have clear links with Italian mafia, the Ndrangheta, and they had a police record with respect to drugs. The restaurants also turned out to be a place where Italian members of the Italian mafia met each other. The Dutch investigation also showed that the people involved in these restaurants very often stayed in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, but also were active in Calabria in Italy, the home bases of the Ndragheta. Fiat, along with Eurojust, contacted the judicial partners in Germany and in Italy, and that's how we started the whole operation, which ended up in this cooperation, this partnership, and in the early hours of this morning, we had an international coordination action against the Italian mafia. This morning, we had searches in 8 locations in the Netherlands, and people were arrested. This was in Zoetermeer, The Hague, Amsterdam, Amstelveen, Velzen, Rotterdam, Tegelen, and Sittard. The Fiat investigation was started at the time based on 3 suspects, and three suspects were all arrested, one of which in the Netherlands, and the other 2, one was in Italy and the other one was in Germany. In total, in the Netherlands, at this point in time, we have 5 suspects that were arrested, and we've seized administration, laptops, telephones, and thousands of euros in cash. And on the basis of this investigation, we have 140 kilos of ecstasy pills, an ecstasy production location, and also the primary substance to make the pills. In earlier actions in 2016 and 2017 in Italy and the Netherlands, we've already seized dozens of kilos of cocaine, and recently in the Netherlands, we seized another 3,000 kilos of cocaine. And furthermore, upon request of the Netherlands, a Dutchman was arrested in Germany, and as we said, in Suriname there was also a search. And from the Netherlands, at this point in time, from the early hours of this morning, we have assistance from the police and the Fiat. People are helping out in searches in Germany and in Italy. All in all, I believe that this is a wonderful outcome of international cooperation, and I would like to conclude my brief intervention by saying that the police and the Fiat would like to thank the colleagues in Italy, Germany, and Belgium, and other countries that have cooperated in this investigation, and obviously also Eurojust and Europol that made it possible to reach this success with this investigation. Thank you very much.
Buongiorno.
Good morning. I am the National Prosecutor for the Anti-Mafia and Anti-Terrorism Directorate, the office that was wanted by Giovanni Falcone for the internal coordination and also the international coordination. First of all, we would like to underline the extraordinary nature of this operation, in which, together with the judicial authorities and the public prosecution offices of Germany and the Netherlands, with the public prosecution office of Reggio Calabria, we have been involved since the beginning. It is an investigation activity that started in Italy in 2015, and it was called Operation Pollino, and because of the places where the organization was operating, so where these people came from, where the suspects came from. And we immediately realized that the public prosecution office had to work with the police, the Fiat, and the BKA and the judicial authorities from the Netherlands and Germany to create a JIT. And all this was carried out through the European Judicial Coordination Body, which is Eurojust And I would like to thank Eurojust from the bottom of my heart for the extraordinary work that was carried out. There were many, many meetings during which each of us have contributed for the further development of the investigation. The colleagues from Germany and the Netherlands have been extraordinary in carrying out their work. The object of the investigation is an international traffic of drugs, mainly cocaine, but also hashish. This international trafficking led to the detection of cocaine imports. And in the context of the whole of the investigation, this allowed us to estimate 2 tons of drugs, including over 500 kilograms that was seized. The imports were carried out through the ports of Rotterdam and Antwerp, and through the Italian ports of Gioia Tauro, Naples, Salerno, Genoa, Livorno. And probably it is difficult to understand the importance of the operation if we are not aware of the organization, which is the Ndrangheta. And when we say Ndrangheta, we mean a global organization, a global association based centrally in the province of Reggio Calabria. And it has ramifications. It has hundreds of cosche, which operate not just in Italy, not just in Calabria, but in different parts of Italy, but also abroad. They are based in different European countries too, in the Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, and they move when they are caught by the investigators. They have 50 locals in Canada, in the US. They have international brokers in Colombia, Ecuador, Brazil. Any country that produces cocaine has these people residing in them. And thanks to the cooperation with the judicial authorities from the Netherlands and Germany, and also the cooperation from Belgium, and I would like to underline the great cooperation from the Belgian judicial authorities and police. There has been a great cohesion among police forces, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the police forces, and I would like to underline that Italy has involved the Reggio Calabria Squadra Mobile, the police, and also the tax police from Catanzaro with the support of the central service, Chico, from the Guardia di Finanza, and the special branch, currency branch of the Guardia di Finanza. So many people, many specialized groups led to the reconstruction of many imports from Colombia, Guyana, Suriname, Brazil, Ecuador, Peru. All countries where collaboration and cooperation was carried out. In these in 90 cases, there were 70 Italians, and many European arrest warrants were issued, and international ones as well, with respect to these countries. And I would also like to stress that in the context of the investigation, a great contribution was given by DEA, which has cooperated with us once again. And Europol has also contributed with their analysis and coordination. And that was a very important work carried out by Europol. And I would also like to underline that Ndrangheta has ramifications called cosche that cooperate with each other, and they work all over Europe. They operate all over Europe. Certainly, we have not defeated completely Ndrangheta with this operation. Ndrangheta is extremely powerful, extremely rich. Ndrangheta is one of those organizations that does not pay in advance. When cocaine arrives, they start to distribute it, and then they pay. And because Colombian and Mexican cartels as well see in Ndrangheta an organization which is of the same level. Ndrangheta created bases with restaurants, bars, cafes in different European countries that are involved in this investigation, some of which have been seized. In the context of the international drug trafficking, the cosche were involved, called Pelle Vottari from San Luca, and there were some imports from them, and those included, and all these imports were made for the Ndrangheta association. Some of them were carried out for the Grasso Cosca from Rosarno, and I am telling you this because in ports and in harbors, Ndrangheta has permanent groups working in the ports, and in reality, they take imports. So they work for the Ndrangheta, and so they make it easier for them to take the drugs from containers and sort it. There was also the Pelle Costadura Romeo group that took part. Some of the Romeos live in Belgium. Letto Marando, Rubino Campagna Cappello group as well. And with respect to the Campagna Cosca, these are people operating in Campania, an Italian region, and they distribute drugs to Camorra, which in turn supplies the different places. So you can see all the links. I'm nearly finished. So you can see all the ramifications and all the people and all the groups that take part. Ndrangheta, Camorra, and in Europe, Ndrangheta has some allies. They have Albanian criminals as allies, and this is something else I wanted to underline. And this is very important because if we do not cooperate as we did in this case, Ndrangheta and also the other mafia associations will continue to carry out their criminal activities, and in order to infiltrate themselves in the legal economy, they are going to pollute the market. And you shouldn't think that Ndrangheta acts in the market through Ndrangheta people, but they act through professionals, through lawyers, so accountants, so people who are appreciated. And this happens not just in Italy, but also in other countries. So this is the learned part of the Ndrangheta. They have university degrees, so they are invisible. And this is how they pollute not just the Italian economy, but also your economies, the European economies. And I also wanted to underline this. I am finished now. Thank you very much. And I leave the floor to my colleague Giovanni Bombardieri, the prosecutor from Reggio Calabria. Thank you. Thank you to Eurojust for the extraordinary coordination activities carried out in this investigation. The Reggio Calabria Anti-Mafia Directorate has carried out these investigations, which are particularly important from an investigative point of view, because it shows more than ever how the Ndrangheta has gone abroad, not just to invest, because we have seen important investments in Germany and in the Netherlands, but the Ndrangheta has also settled in these countries, using them as a basis also for their illegal trafficking. So Europe, not just to invest, but also for their illegal activities. This investigation, first of all, it's divided into two investigations, starting one from the Netherlands, as my colleague from Fiord was saying, where some locals connected, some Italian people living there connected to Ndrangheta, and also another one starting from San Luca, from the Pellevottari Cosca, who was already known by judicial authorities. And it is the Cosca which, unlike the Nista Strangolcio one, was responsible for the Duisburg carnage. Carnage. So very often they were mentioned during the conversations between the members. They were armed, and the Ndrangheta members who were monitored, thanks to the excellent cooperation with the Italian police, with the Italian Guardia di Finanza, on the part of the police from Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, and all our colleagues from these countries. So these people were using weapons also abroad, in the Netherlands, in Germany. Therefore, their criminal activities went beyond their history. So they were operating in countries other than Italy. So the investigations were carried out by the Italian police and Guardia di Finanza with sophisticated investigation techniques, with intercepts, which allowed us to listen to the description of what was happening, the imports of drugs, and also the way in which the Ndrangheta was working. For example, helping people who were absconding. And so there were these support networks, even abroad. Some people were detected, found abroad, and they were people who were escaping from justice. So they, for example, were heard referring to a possible a person who was about to get out of jail in order to carry out criminal activities. So all these intercepts are very important and made us realize how the organization operated in the different countries. And it was also very useful to see how Ndrangheta is related to other criminal organizations in other countries. In particular, the link with criminal groups in Turkey who were used to put drugs, to hide drugs in cars. And they used Northern European ports to the detriment of the Gioia Tauro port. Over the last few months, there was a transfer, a difference, a changing in cocaine routes towards safer ports. In Gioia Tauro, over the last 12 months, there were very little cases of seizures, unlike in Northern Europe, and also in Brazil, Ecuador, and Puerto Rico, which means that the Ndrangheta is using different routes for cocaine, and Ndrangheta stocks drugs, and these drugs are then taken to the final destination with different means. So there was a 360-degree investigation starting with the detective of all the Ndrangheta groups with all their negative values in the different countries, and then the international drug trafficking, which once again proved to be the most important Ndrangheta business, with all the reinvestment of capitals in Northern Europe. Another concept is the unity of the Ndrangheta, which was confirmed. There were members of certain cosche who were reference points for capital investments for all the other cosche. Giorgio Giovanni was a reference point not just for his cosca, but he was considered as a reliable and very competent member for illegal capital investments also by other cosche, for example, Marina di Gioiosa Ionica and other cosche from, for example, San Luca and other regions. So this shows that Ndrangheta also can go above the fight among the different groups. Thank you.
Ja, guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. Mein Name ist Horst Bien. Ich bin leitender.
My name is Horst Bien. I'm senior prosecutor in Duisburg, and I would like to describe the situation that we have at our prosecuting authorities in Duisburg in cooperation with JIT Polino. Since 2016, our prosecuting officers, together with BKA, within the framework of the international JIT Polino and in cooperation with our Italian and Dutch colleagues, we have been carrying out a lot of investigations, which is drug trafficking, especially cocaine, as well as money laundering and membership in an international criminal group, the Ndrangheta. So this is against members of the Calabrian organization Ndrangheta. In Germany, we are talking about 47 suspects at the moment, which have been included and prosecuted within our proceedings. And the activities today have we have searched 65 objects in North Rhine-Westphalia, but also other regions of Germany have been affected. Until the start of this press conference, 14 people have been arrested in Germany, and six assets arrests were carried out of about 6 million euros. But we cannot yet say anything about the success of these activities. Now, the activities today are being coordinated in cooperation with the prosecuting officers in Cologne and Aachen, where there are similar suspicions, and this is why we closely cooperated with our colleagues and exchanged information, because they have similar investigations and also carried out house searches as well as arrests. Our first impression is that this activity has been immensely successful. I would like to highlight the great cooperation of all the police and judicial authorities, be it on a national as well as on an international basis. Setting up a joint investigating team was very successful, and the means have been used. This refers to the cooperation with our colleagues from the Netherlands and Italy, and I would like to thank you for it, as well as the national cooperation with the BKA, as well as with the regional police forces in North Rhine-Westphalia, as well as the good cooperation with the host of this press conference, with Eurojust. So I would like to thank you all for this great cooperation. And all the authorities that participated have worked for a very long time in order to make this success possible. And last but not least, I think that this approach that we can see today, that internationally active organizations, criminal organizations, can only be counteracted by means of an international approach. We will only be successful if we set up an international network. Otherwise, we will not be successful when it comes to fighting international criminal organizations. And with this, I would like to thank you. My name is Christian Hoppe. I am head of the Criminal Directorate at the Federal Criminal Police Office, in charge of these investigations. Yes, Ndrangheta is active in Germany. That is true. And they are active in Germany. And one suspicion is that they are in charge of drug trafficking in Germany, and that they reinvest these illegal criminal assets, such as in restaurants. The colleagues from Belgium already reported about that. And this suspicion has become more concrete within these investigations, and this is something that we have seen in North Rhine-Westphalia, in Cologne, and for the main proceedings in Polino, there is a suspicion that this group is in charge of drug trafficking in the order of 490 kilos of cocaine, and that they are also in charge of cocaine imports, that they're using money mules and vehicles which have special hiding places. And within our proceedings at the BKA, we were able to get information which led to the seizing of 3.5 tons of cocaine at the port of Antwerp. So this is a very powerful organization, and this is why, together with all the JIT partners, we started our activities this morning. We already spoke about the 47 suspects in the main proceedings, but we have also the parallel proceedings or annexed proceedings in North Rhine-Westphalia, as well as in Düsseldorf and Cologne. And for the measures that started this morning at 4 o'clock, we have about 400 to 440 people working here in order to execute the arrest warrants and carry out the house searches. Mr. Bean already spoke about that. The focus of these measures was in North Rhine-Westphalia, but also in Bavaria. And the purpose of these activities is to secure more evidence whether it's digital evidence, mobile phones, computers, and we all know that data are not only being hidden in mobile devices, but in other objects as well. But we cannot say anything about that yet. Now, with all the nations participating in the JITs at a national and international level, we were able to counteract this network. Belgium, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, as well as the Netherlands have contributed massively. And also at a national level, we try to join forces as much as possible by means of the Financial Intelligence Unit or by means of other judicial authorities. So we created a big network in order to fight a criminal network, and this is how we were successful in this area. And I think this is something that we will be able to continue because the investigations are not stopping. We are going to continue with other framework conditions, and we will hopefully have more successful events. Now, the major factors of success were the very intense cooperation and also the participation and exchange of the different investigative results and the coordination by Eurojust at a national as well as international level. We also needed to have a long breath, so we started in 2015 in Italy and 2016 in other countries. But we also had a crown witness, which gave us a lot of information. So, of course, there were a few obstacles, but also successes. Obstacles are lack of retained data, problems with using encrypted telephone data, things like telecommunication, surveillance, or problems when it comes to recognizing license plates. That's more of a German problem, as well as license plate registration. So this was something that was sometimes a bit difficult for the investigations, as well as police information that was not handed over. But of course, these are just a few examples, and this is an indication. It shows how powerful this group also is. And it is, of course, also a risk of success for the investigations in our own countries, but also at an international level. So the hope that we will be able to share more results at a later stage. I would like to thank you, and I think Belgium has the floor now.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Peter Strauve. I'm public prosecutor in Limburg, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Public Prosecution Office of Limburg. And I would like to briefly share with you how important this investigation is, this joint investigation, and how important it is for Belgian Limburg. The Public Prosecution Office in Limburg and the Federal Judicial Police of Limburg have been aware for years that in Limburg there are groups or persons who have very close links with several Italian mafia-like groups. Usually this concerns, but not exclusively concerns, people who have the Belgian nationality and have very close connections with the Italian criminal organizations, or people with an Italian nationality, but in order to escape Italian justice, they reside in Limburg, in Belgian Limburg, the eastern part of Belgian Limburg. Belgian Limburg, and particularly the eastern part of Limburg, is very interesting for mafia-like groups. First of all, until a couple of decades ago, we had a very important mining area and a large Italian community there. Second, Belgian Limburg geographically is located in a place where the connections with three countries, Belgium, Limburg, is connected to several countries, so cross-border operations are very easy. And there's a big port in this area, namely Antwerp. So, needless to say that the Public Prosecution Office in Limburg and the Federal Judicial Police in Limburg, and particularly also the local police of Larnaca, Maasmechelen, where the major operations took place this morning, saw an added value in a joint coordinated international action like we saw this morning against several members of the Ndrangheta group. In the context of the Polino investigation, the Police and Justice Department of Belgium Limburg provided tactical information. This morning, we carried out several searches. We seized luxury goods, cash money, amongst other things. And we also proceeded to arrest several persons. And now it is my pleasure to give the floor to Mr. Chris van der Paar, head of the Federal Judicial Police in Limburg. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to add some police information. The Federal Judicial Police of Limburg and the local police of Larnaca, Maasmechelen, last night or early this morning did 14 searches and arrested 14 people. Special units of the federal police carried out the high-risk searches without any incidents, so that is good news. We deployed about 100 people. In Belgium, the searches took place in Maasmechelen, Genk, Larnaca and Womelgem. And also from the Belgian delegation, I'd like to conclude with that. Thank you very much for the excellent cooperation with all the colleagues here at the table. I'm absolutely convinced that this investigation will lay the basis for further efficient police and judicial cooperation in the future. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As you probably know, Europol is the European law enforcement agency that supports law enforcement and police in the member states, with building up an information position, with databases, with expertise and coordination. That's the role that we are playing, and we are doing this by bringing forward something like what we call an analytical project. The analytical project on Italian organized crime was established in 2013 based on the initiative of the Italian law enforcement agencies to tackle Italian mafia syndicates operating in the EU member states. JIT Polino is one of the most complex, long-lasting and important investigations against Ndrangheta that was supported by Europol. Europol, together with Eurojust, as been mentioned, have been heavily supporting involved member states in tackling this Ndrangheta organized crime group with the final aim to bring the suspects to prosecution, also allowing confiscation of illegal obtained assets. It's Europol's core business to support this kind of high-level transnational investigations, so medium or even long-term cases aimed at dismantling dangerous and complex organized crime groups that are affecting 2 or more member states, like Ndrangheta does, and it's already, as it shows from the contribution, is rooted in many EU member states. Europol wants to congratulate all involved law enforcement agencies and judicial authorities for this important result, and coming thanks to, as been mentioned, the genuine cooperation and support from all involved agencies and judicial authorities. It's a real example of European effort in my view. As for the role of Europol, and in particular our top organized crime group team, we provided continuous support since 2016 to the JIT members, but also towards Belgium with our analytical capabilities. In more detail, I think we have been making 24 cross-match reports, identifying the links between individuals in the different organized crime groups. We made 9 operational analytical reports in trying to establish the total overview of links between the different organized crime groups, and also made 2 expertise reports to support member states. Additionally, we organized 12 operational meetings, financed and also coordinated by Europol in cooperation with member states and Eurojust in different locations with the purpose to come up with a combined and strong strategy of the investigations, making sure that we would take all relevant factors on board. In that way also partners were strongly involved in this kind of coordination meetings. During this action day, as has been mentioned, we have deployed staff towards the Italian region of Calabria with mobile offices and also forensic support to make sure that live analytical support can be done, as we have been doing in the coordination center here at Eurojust. During this investigation, I just want to mention also it's very important that we are able to communicate with each other. And I think the Siena system, that's the communication system, has been well used and been confirmed as an intelligence exchange channel to make it possible that all investigative entities can connect on a daily basis important information in a secure and safe way. We will keep on supporting the outcome of these investigations, as been mentioned. So I'm convinced that today's action will bring a lot of information that will enrich the intelligence picture of the mafia in the European Union. And I'm also convinced that this will lead to new investigations and possible strong cooperation within the European Union. Thank you.
Ready to open the floor for your questions. So if I may ask you to state your name and the media you're representing and to which speaker your question is directed. Who wants to begin? Yes, please.
I'm freelance.
You need to use the microphone.
Not so used to these big conferences of press. So I'm Cecile Landman, I'm working freelance, and so as far as I think, this is the first time an operation of this measure has been done. What were the difficulties in collaborating between the various countries, and was sort of, say, the lead of the operation more with Italy, or was it with Eurojust? Because I think the expertise of the Italian investigators is sort of must have been leading in this. And it's to Federico Cafiero de Rao e Bombardieri.
Thank you. This investigation is a novelty because in the past there have been many investigations involving several countries with letters rogatories, so the acquisition of evidence was more complex as a mechanism, and there were different timings with respect to investigation activities. The results were delayed. The novelty of this investigation, where there was a coordination among countries, it was the use of the JIT, which allowed us to have real-time joint investigations with real-time exchange of information and also real-time exchange of investigative information. And this is something new and very important because it allows us to follow criminal activities in real time and allows us to intervene. JITs were operating as one individual, one single team. In Italy, for example, the Reggio Calabria and Catanzaro Guardia di Finanza was operating, the SCO, the SCICO, the mobile investigation team. So all these police forces were working together with the real-time exchange of information that allowed us to carry out real-time seizures, for example, to have real-time results and very important results, because you have to think that the technical activities that were part of this investigation in terms of bugging, for example, and intercepts require a real-time listening and a real-time circulation of the information in order to monitor meetings and in order to carry out seizures. This was the important thing of this investigation. So JITs, joint investigation teams, who can work together in real time, because in the past too we worked via letters rogatories, for example. I would like to add something concerning the unique nature of the security and justice space, which is enabled by an intense cooperation, which is the joint investigation teams by Eurojust. And from this point of view, Europe allows us to counter mafia activities in real time as if it was one single country. So the participation of different countries in one single team allows us to know in real time and share among all judicial authorities and police authorities all the information acquired by each police and judicial authority, which is an extraordinary thing. The Palermo agreement also provided for this, but this is possible in Europe thanks to Eurojust contribution.
Koen Voskuil van het Algemeen Dagblad. Ik heb een vraag.
Koen Voskuil, Algemeen Dagblad. I have a question to Mr. Langerak. You said that in 2014, two pizzerias, I understand, in Venray and Horst, were on your radar screen. Could you tell us a bit more about that? I mean, how did you find out about these pizzerias, and how did the investigation take place, and what did you find? Correct. In 2014, the Fiat immediately started to cooperate with the National Police Service in the south in these two locations, in the two pizzerias. And as I believe you know, we started with an analysis of the Italian mafia. And this investigation was part and parcel of the analysis that we called Secatrova at the time. And we decided at the time to start two investigations. One is Venus. I believe you're familiar with that, and it was a police investigation. The second investigation was Polino, which is why we cooperated so well. One investigation was done with the Fiat, and the Polino was done with the National Police and Fiat, and we found the Italian restaurant. We suspected that there was money laundering, and very quickly we found a relationship. This was no coincidence, because this was in Segatrova already, the link with the Italian mafia. Was this one of the restaurants where there was a deviating turnover that you had picked up on? Well, data analysis in Segatrova led to a number of signals, so to speak, and then we had some other signals, and that led to the fact that we took a closer look at them, and we came up with the suspicion. Could you perhaps tell us a bit more about the resources that you used, or the tools that you used to follow these people? Another question is, what is the nationality of the 5 suspects that were arrested in the Netherlands? Well, the resources that we used are no different from the resources that we use in ordinary investigations. And we use when we have special investigation methods that we use, we never disclose that. I'm sure you'll understand. And second, about the nationality, I'd have to check that. I don't know it off the top of my head, but a large number, because of the 5, as I said, 3 original suspects with whom we started the investigation in 2014. One of them was arrested in the Netherlands, and as far as I know, I'm just looking over there. One has, I believe, the Italian nationality. The other 4, I believe, the Dutch nationality. Yes, it's being confirmed, so yes.
Over there. Gentleman in this black shirt. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Question off mic. The interpreters can't hear the question.
Sorry. A question for please. Did you say that you got a lot of information from a, how do you say that, pentito, or somebody who from the organization Ndrangheta?
Nee, ich denke, da liegt ein Missverständnis vor. Ich weiß nicht, was Sie...
No, I think that's a misunderstanding. I don't quite know what you mean, where you got the information.
Das war, glaube ich, Herr Hoppe, der das erwähnt hat.
Oh, I think Mr. Hoppe said that, But yes, it is indeed right that the information came from Italy and that we did have a crown witness in Italy.
Who may I give the floor now? Yes, please.
Rita Sanders, RTL Nieuws. Vraag aan
Rita Sanders, RTL News. A question to Mr. Langerak. Both restaurants in Horst and Venray, are they both owned by the same family? Please don't ask all these difficult questions. I believe they're owned by different owners, but I'm looking at I'm saying funny things? Different owners, right. Different owners. But would it be the same family then? An answer off mic. The interpreter can't hear the answer.
Yes, please, over here.
Mijn naam is Sanne de Boer.
My name is Sanne de Boer. I have a question to Mr. Bombardieri and the other gentleman, whether they believe that Europe and the Netherlands have enough resources and are they sufficiently equipped to fight white-collar crime. The borghesia Ndrangheta was referred to earlier on, and in Italy, this constitutes a major problem. How do you think we can fight this kind of crime at European level? How can we best fight this form of crime?
Well, it is not up to me to say if the Netherlands are equipped from a judicial point of view. On this occasion, we cooperated very well with our colleagues from the Dutch police, and it led to these results. And this cooperation dates back to a long time ago. As far as my prosecutor office is concerned, and my colleague can add to that, we have had this cooperation with the liaison officers for a long time. And this is a very important cooperation and a very fruitful one, for sure. Facing Ndrangheta at a European and world level, because we're talking about Europe here, but Ndrangheta is also in the US, in Canada, Australia, in all the countries where the Ndrangheta has always been present. The Regina Ndrangheta has historically been in Canada or Australia. There are Ndrangheta families who have lived for decades in these countries, and we have reasons to believe that they are very well settled there, not just Ndranghetisti, but Ndrangheta. So the organization itself is in those countries. So facing Ndrangheta at a world level, and as far as we're concerned here in Europe, requires judicial instruments like the one that has been used in this occasion to allow us to align our legislations and our regulations. And Germany, for example, is doing a lot with respect to the regulations that can allow them to counter Ndrangheta. I can say, what I can say about Italy is that the legislation with respect to assets and Ndrangheta organization is pretty well established and well developed. We have instruments that allow us to act against assets and Ndrangheta groups and people. But when we are talking about investments in other European countries, they may have issues. There may be issues. And this is what we must do in the future through our different legislations. We must be able to counter investments in assets in Europe, so outside Italy.
My name is Annick van Damme, NOS. Question to Mr. Langerak. The person who is to be extradited, is that the Italian national? Did I say anything about extradition? I don't remember having said anything about extradition. As far as I know, I said nothing about that, but there may be something in the press release. Yes, the person who's to be extradited is indeed an Italian national.
Now I invite a question from all the way back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Titia Keetelaar from NRC. It's a question for one of the Italians. Has this been a very sensitive blow for Ndrangheta, or do you fear this is a first step in a longer investigation?
I can confirm that this is just a first step. Ndrangheta has important ramifications everywhere, not just in Italy, but also abroad. So 70 arrests are nothing for Ndrangheta. There are thousands of people that should be arrested and billions of euros that should be seized. Currently, in Italy, we have 25 billion assets that have been seized, and probably there will be another 25 billion, and all these assets have been seized from the Ndrangheta and other organizations, but the wealth and the richness of these organizations is enormous.
Time for one more question. Who didn't ask a question yet? Well, you all asked questions yet, but otherwise I'll give you the floor again. Microphone.
Ook weer aanzetten, sorry hoor.
What is it that you expect? Once again, a question to the Italian officials. What do you expect? What do you expect will the impact of this action be? Because yesterday there was a big action against the new cupola of the Cosa Nostra in Sicily. Today, this. Do you expect there will be waves of actions? I mean, obviously, there's going to be an issue. There's going to be an impact within the circles of the mafia itself. What is it that you expect to see in the short term?
Well, we hope that people will understand that Ndrangheta is an organization that silently enters countries and pollutes them. We always detect the organization which is active in drugs trafficking, but out of the 2 tons of cocaine that have been seized, only 500 kilos have been seized. The other 1.5 ton entered the market, accessed the market, and this is a very, very small part as compared with the amounts processed by the Ndrangheta. Every year, only in Gioia Tauro port, about 1.5 ton cocaine was seized, and many other amounts were seized in other Italian ports. And we could see from the investigations that through the ports of Rotterdam and Antwerp, there were tons and tons of cocaine. And in the past, there have been many investigations. So what are we expecting? We expect the development of an investigation activity which could be constant, so an ongoing investigation activity to identify the source, especially with respect to assets and also companies, because Ndrangheta also hides behind different companies, joint stock companies, where they invest a lot. And behind these companies, there are people who are professionals. They have a university degree. They know how to operate in the market, so they silently infiltrate themselves, and they sit around the table with the best professionals, with sometimes with institutions, and unbeknown to them, they make agreements with these people. This is what happened in Italy. And how do they infiltrate. These mafia infiltrate in a very surreptitious way, and that is why we need sophisticated investigations. For example, in Italy, the National Anti-Mafia and Anti-Terrorism Directorate operates in the context of suspect reports, and we review 80,000 reports every year. And these reports are compared with our database that contains millions of information, because these data have been date back to 1992. So it concerns all investigations from 1992 up until today on mafia. And that is how we can give our input to investigations. And this is also done with all the names that are reported by the different prosecution offices, which lead to other inputs. So this can give you an idea of the investigations in Italy only on this aspect. And then each prosecutor's office carries out intercepts, and this costs millions of euros. The Reggio Calabria prosecution office, when I was the prosecutor, spent just in 1 year 19 million euro. So clearly there's a huge investment. But if we do not invest, we are not able to identify mafias, but there is a return, which is the assets that are seized. We're talking about billions of euros. And so this allows us to carry out other investigations. We hope that this is the way in which other countries work. We hope that other countries also think about storing data, because this is very important. In Europe, people usually think that data should be deleted to guarantee safety and security, but security can be guaranteed by keeping data and accessing data only in a secure way, so that they are not circulated. But in this way, they can help investigations. So we are able to carry out investigations because we have this database which dates back to 1992. No other database in the world is as rich as ours, and we hope that also other countries could have similar databases, and we hope that we can exchange data in order to counter mafia in every country.
Very much. This brings us to the end of the...
Hartelijk dank. Hiermee zijn we tot het einde gekomen van de persconferentie. Voor degenen hier in de zaal. De sprekers zijn beschikbaar voor bilaterale. Hartelijk dank.